In this video, we're going to look at inequalities, their symbols, ways to remember their symbols, and also strategies in which to compare and order numbers. So when we look at inequalities, let's actually start with what is equal. If you look at this word, you see equal. So we know this right here is equal. So let's start with what we already know. So we know these two each equal 10. So we know they're equal. How do we know that? Because we know 10 equals 10. They're the same value on both sides. So when we talk about inequalities, what we're doing is we're saying what is not equal. If we take a look at that prefix, what's not equal and how do we represent them? So if I say, well, now I have 2 over here, well, we know that 10 that I have on this side does not equal the 20 that I have on this side. We know that these are not equal. So we put a line through our equal sign, just like you've seen where if it's not an exit, they will draw a line through a circle showing you it's not an exit. So this is the beginning of saying inequalities. They're not equal. So now let's take another look at how we can represent these. So here we're looking at 10 again, and here we're looking at 20. We know that 10 is less than 20. So we want to use the less than sign. Now, I know I personally used to struggle with this until I had a few tricks in my hat to remember. So one of the tricks that's most commonly taught is that you're going to eat the bigger number. So we know that we put this to our 20. However, some people that still doesn't help. Some people like to say we point at the cute little thing. So just like we pointed a little puppy, we point at the smaller number. Here's another way to remember. On this side, we have 2 points. And 2 is more than 1. So the side with more is where the greater number goes. So a few ways to remember the less than sign. So in this statement, what we have shown is that 10 is less than 20. But what if I now have 3 on this side? So now I have 3 on this side, but I only have 2 on this side. So now we know this is more. We know we have a greater number over here. So we want to show that in a math statement. To make it a math statement, we must use our symbols. So let's go with the points again. If I'm going to show that this 30 over here is greater than this 20, so I have to put the sign in here. I'm going to put my bigger space at the bigger number, 30, the side that has 2 points compared to 1 point. So more points goes to more number, and I'm pointing at the smaller number, the 20. Different ways to remember. So these are our symbols. So now, and you're welcome to take notes with me, copy my notes, or you can print the picture of the notes that are completely taken for you, whichever helps you. Now, sometimes we have situations where it can be less than or equal to. In that situation, we're just putting one of the lines from our equal sign under our less than sign. We've now combined these 2 signs right there, so it reads less than or equal to. Here we have greater than, so there's our greater than sign, Or I put this little line from my equal sign underneath and say or equal to. So we have situations, and I want you to think about, see if you can come up with some situations where you're going to have that number or greater. You can pause the video to try to come up with some. I'll wait here. Okay, I'm glad you're back. You might have thought something like, if I'm going to go to the store to buy a video game that costs $10 with tax, then I need to have either $10 or more. So $10 or greater in my wallet to buy that video game. So there's just one example. Okay, when we are chatting in our groups, we can talk about more things that you came up with while your video was paused. So the first strategy I want you to do when you are comparing numbers that have decimals is I want you to line up your decimal points. A lot of times the errors come in when we do not line up our decimal points. So that is one strategy. I want you to make it pretty. So by using zeros. So in this example here, you can see our decimal points are lined up. Our whole numbers are lined up, but this number here started as just 6 3/10. And this number right here just started as 3 2/10. But I had 3 456 thousandths. Well, you might think, well, 456 is more than 2 or more than 3, but we start comparing. First of all, we put our zeros. So now it all looks much easier for our brains. And we start comparing at our largest place. So our 6 right there said it's more than 3's. Now we have 2 places that are the same, 3 and 3. So we go to the next place over. And this is where you were correct. 4/10 is greater than 2/10. So 3 456 thousandths is greater than 3 2/10. But because of the 4. So what we just saw was beginning to compare at that largest place and moving over from there. I will show you on another video how using a place value chart and lining your numbers up in a place value chart can help you also to compare and order your numbers.